Tango 1 at the top, we are at pop-up vehicle. 10-4, Tango 1, you have control. Tango 1 copy. Stand by. Stand by.
Integrity, passion, resilience. That's what this place was built on. That's what our community is founded on. Don't act like the example, just be the example. This is the home of the greatest fitness community in the world. We're trying to create strong, able bodies, resilient to injury with a gas tank to get shit done. If there's one thing from this podcast, it's about taking immediate action. Find the problem, fix the problem. This is your opportunity. It's either a hell yes or a fuck no. It's that simple.
You're doing that with the Tango 1 podcast.
Now is the time to take action. Now's the time to do more and be more.
Welcome to the Tango 1 podcast. I am Tony Smith, retired cop and tactical team leader. I'm the owner and the founder of the Garage Gym and Tango 1 Solutions. Joined by my friend, my co-host, a fireman, garage gym trainer, and amateur stuntman, Casey Wright. Our mission is to challenge you and guide you to create an immediate action plan against your problems and your weaknesses. Simply put, we want you to just do more and be more. Today, joining us from Chesterton, Indiana, this is the first time we do a Zoom podcast, is probably the busiest guy I know in this industry. He's into equipment sales and design. It's a bunch of gyms for Arsenal Strength. He's the owner of a great little spot in Chesterton, Applied Strength and Conditioning. He's been there since 2009. He's been with Westside Barbell since 2012, and last year was promoted to the Master Strength Coach. And he's also started to lead up the project, which has taken tons of steam, which got Casey and I involved, Westside Tactical or Conjugate Tactical. He was a Marine for 6 years, a cop for another 6 years, and then got into this industry and hasn't looked back. Jay and I met in Salt Lake City. We were both helping out on the Maximus Method seminar, and we roomed in the basement. And all of a sudden realized we had tons in common, and through almost all of our education is just through experience. We got a bunch of tattoos, and we love lifting and talking shit. So we kind of hit it up, and then we realized we only lived about 3 hours away. So since that time, about 5 years ago now, almost 4 or 5 years ago, Jay and I have really started to connect, and we spend a lot of time in each other's gyms. And Jay's really helped us to take up our level of coaching here through really bringing us into like the more of the conjugate system and teaching us some of the main lifts and more about those main lifts and how to get them stronger. So I'm really excited to have this guy here today, and we want to talk about all kinds of things, like training warriors and how we can train the general population the same. I want to talk about why you left policing, something we have in common, and the mission behind Westside Tactical, and then, of course, just talk some shit and see where everything goes. Good to go?
Sounds good to me.
All right, man. So first thing I want to start with. So one of the first times we meet, and one of the first times, and then repeated when I brought my staff up there to Chesterton, Indiana, we walk into your office and it's full of all kinds of swords and guns and some other things. But one of the coolest things that I saw in that office was a picture of your boots. And there's a little saying on those boots. Maybe you can fill me in so I don't bastardize it if you remember it.
Yeah, it was fighting the war was hard. Running a business isn't.
Yeah, and man, I love that because I actually refer to it and I wrote it down in my own office. Something similar, like I took your mantra and ran with it, and I think that's like a great way to perspective, especially everything we've all gone through recently with gym closures and shit like that. So let's talk about that, man. Like, so how do you lend that perspective onto things? You were in Afghanistan, correct?
Yep, spent some time there, and then I know when we did the numbers, it was 01 to 07 and all that stuff. It ended up being I was just over 5 years, so I was closer to 5 years in the service and for law enforcement than I was 6. So my bad for filling that out wrong. But I have those 5 years. I ended up spending a total of about a year in Afghanistan.
Man, and then now applying what you learned there and the things you went through there to just like, do you use that, you think, in business or more so for your perspective on business?
Both. Like when it comes to the perspective on business, it's just like anything else. Like I'm not a terribly educated man. Like there's a lot of smart people out there. So you have to draw from what you know, and if you put everything in perspective, usually the worst two things that happen to me through a work week are I type a lot, and sometimes people say mean things to me. Like, I've got to keep the gym clean. Got to do all the basics of running the gym, but that's like the self-humbling time. Like you've been in our gym, we've got some large people in there, and those large people make large movements in our toilets. If you're, I don't know, it's disgusting, but like our friend Curtis, he talks about the the mental clarity from him cleaning horse stables. For me, doing the dirty jobs in the gym that are beneath many people, like cleaning the toilets and taking out the garbages and stuff, that keeps me grounded. So putting it all in perspective, you can draw from your experience more than anything else. Like the things that go through my week, like a hectic schedule, typing, bad news phone calls. Sometimes stuff happens on all fronts that I'm involved in. And at the end of the day, like, we're not hiking in mountains at altitude. Not a lot of stuff explodes anymore. And I wasn't the fightingest man in the history of the Marine Corps by any means, but we're not gunfighting for a paycheck anymore. And it just, if you put it in that way, you get out of your own way as far as like, everything sucks and this is the worst. If you draw back, everyone, especially people a hell of a lot more than me, have been through enough to be like, oh, don't be short-sighted. Like, it can always get a hell of a lot worse. So, you just adjust course and keep going forward versus getting wrapped up in the boo-hoos of all this stuff. Because it's definitely emotionally draining running a business and working constantly.
Running a business. I like how you say that, running a business. So like one of the things I learned from you is like, especially now going through, us being here in Canada, being shut down for quite some time, 5 months almost for us, is that having some revenue streams, different revenue streams, your fingers in a couple different, or your pen in a couple different inkwells, whatever they want to say there, and you've done the king of that. So you've got Applied Strength and Conditioning. What that place is like a phenomenal. It's when you walk in there, it's like this small gym with like the great feel to it, and like you said, some huge people moving a ton of weight. We go in there with my gym where I'm, people think I'm strong, and then I walk in there, I got the lowest bench press in the room a lot of the times. It's pretty crazy.
Definitely big guys. I remember the first time I went for a Laura Phelps seminar, and I walked in, and Tony's like, oh yeah, you can go in early, go work out before the seminar starts. And I walked in, and you and the guys were just having a meeting, not a meeting, but sit down bullshit before you started the day, about 7:30 a.m. or whenever it was. And I walked in.
That's hangover time.
There was no one under 6'4" probably, and 300 pounds. And they just looked, they're like, you joining us for the workout? And I was like, probably do my own thing on the corner for today, but maybe tomorrow. But when you talk about big guys and what they can potentially do to make a mess in your gym, you're serious about it.
Yeah, there's some smells that come out of that place for sure. But it's like the thing, the size, all that stuff. Like we've been running that place for 11 years, and I'm still amazed. Like sometimes people are off put just by some of the folks. We've got dudes over 400, dudes over 300, all that good stuff, and fighters and all these cool people. But like, you guys have been there, and like, I mean, you're Canadian, you're super nice by it's in your DNA. So we're like, we strive to hit that level of kindness for people. So we don't have a single jerk in the place, and we do a pretty good job of screening assholes before they walk in. So sometimes you get that bad vibe on someone, and the dues are quadruple, 8 times what they really are, in a hope that this person really doesn't want to come in here and taint the weird little pool that we have of good people. But that was a fun morning. It was a long drive for you, and you're like, yeah, I'm totally going to work out there. I'm not going to work out. I'm going to do some dips, and maybe I'll have this power bar or something cool.
Yeah, man, it just shows, like, I feel like good people attract good people, and that's what it is in your gym. We go there, and yeah, I mean, they look bigger than me, and they got like big beards and more tattoos than me and you combined probably, but man, so welcoming. I mean, to the point where guys are taking us out after for drinks, and throwing a case of Miller Lite down for my people after they're finishing their, and you know what, the biggest thing is, like, we brought a bunch of people up there who had never power lifted prior to 90 days before, when you and I ran the strength program here. We just had a crazy truck go by. Anyways, 90 days earlier, you and I brought them through that first strength program that we ever ran at the garage gym, and it culminated with us traveling up to Indiana to lift in front of a bunch of people. And for me, that was intimidating, let alone a bunch of people who have never really done that. And your crew of people, yourself included, were just made it so easy. You guys were coaching them up, you guys were giving them tips, and making them feel totally comfortable to stand on a podium and lift weights in front of a room full of people, which was pretty incredible. And kudos to you for that whole event. Like, let's talk about that there for a minute.
I was going to say, let's go with that, because we went up with how many? 20 people almost?
Yep.
To Indiana, and we went up for an event, your Mission 22 lift. So explain that. How did that get started? How did you get more involved with that, and go off that?
So we started this in 2012 maybe. So we do right around Christmas time, when no one's competing in anything around Christmas unless one of the guys have a fight they're training through. So everyone who's competing in strength sports are done for the year. So we found out that basically the weekend before Christmas is a dead weekend. No one has anything going on that Saturday morning. So we set up a 3-lift deadlift meet, which would be essentially be a third of a full power meet. So you get 3 attempts on a deadlift, and it's not strict. We have a gentleman named Bob, one of our guys' fathers who used to powerlift back in the 70s and 80s. He comes in and judges it for us and keeps us in line. But it's fun. We have some people use straps, some suits, raw, belt, whatever you want to use. Essentially, it's fun. So we do the pull-through, in which the idea is always to raise money for different veteran charities. The first time we did it, it was a chance to do a kicker for almost a 2-year initiative we were doing at Westside Barbell, where we were doing a special shirt, equipment sales, and all this stuff in an effort to raise money for the Lone Survivor Foundation when they were opening the ranch down in Texas, a therapy house, a retreat for a bunch of holistic procedures and treatments for post-traumatic stress disorder. So they do everything from like equine therapy, art recovery, beach walks, all that good stuff down there in Texas. And that's one of the subjects. Everyone has to care about something, and that's one that pulls on the heartstrings pretty great for us, is the holistic treatment of PTSD. So we organized a fundraiser with the Lone Survivor team, Westside Barbell, myself, a bunch of local groups, and over the course of about 1.5 years, 2 years, raised enough money to build a garage gym for them, no pun intended, build a garage gym for them with, the full gambit, racks, reverse hypers, dumbbells, weight, you name it, with the idea being that knowing myself, if I was going to go, fight against getting some different looks or some help, I would be like, I can't miss my workout. So I'm not going to even try. So we're like, well, we'll give these folks a really great gym. So we ended up raising, I believe, over $15,000, if I recall, and getting it all put in, traveled down to Texas and got it set up and whatnot. And then kept going on that. Then we moved over to supporting Mission 22, who does a lot of different practices or efforts to do the same, suicide prevention, veterans, and holistic treatment of PTSD. And then they work partnered up with a bunch of other charities that do the same. So it's not like pick a team and that's all you get to help. We're, everyone across the board helps one another. So with Mission 22, we brought the pull through back. So we had taken a couple of years off, had some personal stuff going that prevented us from doing it for 2015, 2016 maybe. And then we brought it back, and we've been supporting Mission 22 ever since. This year, we've met a new group that we've been able to help indirectly with some different efforts thus far, but we're going to get behind them for the pull-through this year, called the Mappachino Foundation. I'm fortunate enough to work with one of Sergeant Pacino's teammates on a different front that I do, and he told me the story of the foundation and what had happened to Matt and all that stuff. So the family put together a foundation there, and they do the same thing. They support veterans directly or in conjunction with other charities. So the work we did with them in February actually went to the Gary Sinise Foundation. It was what they partnered with, and they built a full smart home for a gentleman who had gotten injured in Afghanistan years ago, and through his injury ended up becoming quadriplegic. So he's getting a whole smart home built. And we didn't raise enough by any means to build the entire home, but anything helps, So that the whole idea is just to keep doing something to, one, I don't know the polite way to say it, but I don't know. I don't want to be, there's a special kind of prick who doesn't do anything to help others. And we've been so damn fortunate over the years that we just got to ensure we don't let that happen. So the pull through is become the thing that we're able to do annually come hell or high water. And it draws a lot of people in. We've got the deadlift is part of it, but again, our gym you've been there. It's not the most important thing in anyone's life by any means. But the folks that help us with the pull through is what the real draw is. So on top of the lift and the donations that people make, some folks will raise $1 a pound for their deadlift and donate it, or all that good stuff. Is we've got the raffle table, which helps a lot of local businesses and our network of friends that run their businesses around the country contribute. Hell, international, even Ellen from Killer Strength Scotland sent us Dinny rings to raffle off. We've given away Yetis. Texas Power Bar donates the deadlift bar every year for the event, and then we're able to raffle that off. So each year we're pulling in close to $5,000 to donate to these different charities. And that was where the whole thing came from, is just like, how can we do something? You know what I mean? And who doesn't love deadlifting? Even if you like pull 315 like me.
Quite the awesome event. We came home with that deadlift bar this year, which made us very, very happy.
Oh, I'm clear. Guess who got a bunch of boo birds claiming conspiracy theories?
Oh, come on.
But on that event though, like,
It's like why wouldn't you be happy that they win? They're like, yeah, you're right.
but such a cool event in the way of like you said, is like there's people from all over the states. We had a crew come from Canada, and like there's people there who are professional powerlifters and they're lifting 700 pounds. But the energy in the room, what I found the coolest thing is like someone would pick up 200 pounds and the excitement and screams in the room were the exact same as the guy who just lifted 700 pounds. So just the atmosphere around it, because people were there for the cause. And so it doesn't matter at all what people were doing. Just the like excitement of the gym and everything around it was just like, it was just an exciting day. It was awesome.
It's fun. It's fun too. And I mean, outside of the philanthropic side of it and the feel good, it's a nice practice event too. So if people do have an interest in strength sports or, just doing something with weights competitively, this is a very low consequence thing you can attend. Like you're not going to get a red light for a little hitching and stuff like that because it's a fundraiser, dude. You know what I mean? So if people are a little hesitant to get on a platform somewhere, this is a nice chance to at least get that experience and be around a group of strangers and just kind of do that nut up or shut up. Like, all right, I said I would do it. Now, there's 80 or 90 people jammed into a 2,400 square foot room, and it's a lot of fun. But it's just, again, it goes back to the gym itself is a magnet for good people. So you just pull them in more and more and more and jam them all in there, and it just kind of feeds off of one another. And then as soon as that first person goes and gets that like jitters out of their back, then it's like, all right, now it's cruising. And by the time we get to the tail end of flight 3 and there's 850 pound deadlifts, it's like, holy crap.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. The only red light was our boy Nobi, poor guy. I got the same one the year before. Anybody who goes up in a real deadlift competition, it's not like the gyms were here. You can't drop the bar. They get pissed about it. It was pretty funny. So I'm going to read an ad right now if you guys want to crack a beer. Does your financial advisor take the time to really listen to you? Is your financial strategy personalized for you and your family? And will your financial advisor be there as your life and financial situations change? When you work with Stephen Kidd, your local Edward Jones financial advisor, he focuses on what's important to you. You'll work together and use an established process to create personalized financial strategy backed by the advice, tools, and resources to help you reach your goals. And you'll partner to help your strategy stay on track. Contact Stephen Kidd today at 519-734-8599. That's 519-734-8599. Edward Jones, member, Canadian Investor Protection Fund. All right, so let's get into let's talk about strength, man. I think that's what a lot of people want to listen to you. You're a student of strength, and that's the one thing that you always like are conveying to my team and to the Westside Tactical team, and to everybody who comes on that course, whether it be just the little seminar, the little feeler seminar you have at the start, or the full certification, is that you are constantly, every single person in that room should be an educator as well as a student at all times. So Westside Tactical, like what is Conjugate Tactical? Maybe break that down for some of the people listening.
So Conjugate Tactical it accidentally became a thing. So when I was lucky enough to become a part of Westside Barbell 2012 or 2013, neither one of us, neither Tom Barry nor myself can remember when the hell it was. We were like, we got to figure out something to do. So we kept going forward. And that was when I started with equipment sales. And I was lucky enough to work on some seminars and education. And then it just kept growing and growing and growing. And that was part of the catalyst for my leaving law enforcement, was to pursue this stuff. And then having a background. And again, I started off in the military as a Marines, as an artilleryman. I was lucky enough to get attached to this training detachment that went overseas and got to work with the real door kickers and whatnot that everyone thinks, they're legit. And I was fortunate enough to fall back asswards into working with them and learn from those dudes. And then with my law enforcement background, and I was just a sheriff's deputy in Northwest Indiana, nothing terribly exciting about it, but it was enough to draw some real world experience from. And with our applications of the conjugate system and the Westside methods, we were able to take and I'm not going to say repurpose, but for lack of a better term, repurpose the methods for a new demographic in the world of, first responder and military, just based strictly off demand. So these men and women, they need to be strong at all times, because for most first responders, we have a good idea what's going to come across the plate. We just don't know when. So readiness is a great deal of the thing, and a byproduct of the system, when it's applied correctly, is about a default to 90% of your true maximal strength on any given day. So when Lou said that was like, ding, went off. And then years later, we remembered that and it became a thing. And then the idea of special exercises for correction, conditioning appropriately, it made a lot of sense in the world of chaos that is strength conditioning. And when all the folks that call in wanting training and questions and education from these demographics of military and first responder, those questions started falling on my plate. And between that, the gym, and some of the strength coach roles we've been able to take over the years, it grew into a nice little, I'm not going to say revenue stream, because initially it started off as just obligation. Like, these folks want to learn this stuff, and we know it, but let's go do that. And then the more and more we did it, we were able to start earning a living off of it. And then it grew into a full, like, okay, we have too much work now. Like, we can no longer be everywhere. And the end users or the supervisors from these units and departments, et cetera, they want this information. So we have to figure out a way to relay it. And again, every time I'm on a podcast, I always make the declaration, I'm a full-blown Jocko nerd. So we had to, decentralize all this stuff and create an educational platform to send, existing strength coaches out there, or department fitness reps, unit advisors, all this stuff. It's just strictly the relay of information, and it just keeps growing more and more and more. So we were fortunate enough to be able to build a nice existence off of teaching these methods with the thumbs up from Louie Simmons and Tom Barry. And we just keep going. And if we can do it for ourselves, again, a special kind of selfish if you don't do it for other people. So we put together the course and the system, and we have a training platform on the Conjugate Club, and it just keeps growing from there. And hopefully, like, our thing, I would rather stay small and competent than just explode in all directions and water the thing down. So hopefully we're moving in the right direction. And that's really how it became, was just, hey, we started doing work, and the message was being well received, and the training that folks were putting together was yielding the end result that these people wanted it to have. And now we just need more people to do it. So I have no interest in, I don't want anyone, like, I don't need a Charlie Manson like following, for lack of a better term. But if strength coaches and gym owners and stuff are looking for an informational resource, we've got one. Hopefully it works for you. But the same thing, first time I met Louie, one of the first conversations we had, he had told me that even, the man himself with the strongest gym in history, that this is not the way, this is a way. And we've just carried that all the way through. So I personally believe that might be one of the appeal of the 3 courses we've done, is that we're not asking anyone to deprogram what they're doing or throw their current manuals in the garbage. And, you have to do it this way for the sake of rhetoric and entertainment. So we've been so fortunate that we've drawn in a pretty professional crowd as far as like interest in this stuff. And that's just the way it has to stay. Like, can't go any other direction than taking care of our first 3 rounds of people, because they're doing so much more than one human being could, exactly how it's supposed to work. And that's it. That's up to this day. Like, we literally finished the 3rd instructor's course last weekend.
Really, I think this is going in a great direction. And like, obviously that's where my kind of passion for strength and conditioning, it came from when I was younger, but when I really started getting into strength coaching was through my tactical team, my experience there, and opened the garage gym on that premise that I'd be training all these like first responders, and to a point we do, but we've started to bring in so many other people, so many like general population people, from factory workers to mold makers to, insurance agents to financial advisors, everybody. But we've really started to, like, one thing that you and I remember the conversations in Maximus's basement there, was like how training, a tactical athlete is much the same as training a dad or a mom. In like, if you can make them, and this is your line right from your book, I think, or from your your curriculum is like making people strong, capable, resilient to injury with a gas tank to get shit done. And I mean, I think that a mom or a dad really needs to do that. And I think there's in strength coaching, I think we're really missing a lot of it when people are out there just trying to get people sore and get people tired. Because I mean, I know from my job, if I was too sore, too tired to go up some stairs carrying a ram or to drag out one of my friends, we were going to be in a bad way. And I think as a parent who has to go to work to feed their, a construction worker who has to go to work the next day, you want him to be strong and capable and resilient to injury. You don't want to affect what they do on a day-to-day basis to bring home their, income for their families. And I think that's how we've taken it into the garage gym and taken like the tactical athlete side and just spread it to the general pop. And I think there's so much value in strength coaches learning this way, not just for tactical athletes, but for other people.
And that's what I think is the same thing. Like, learning this method is like, if you're training a power lifter, even an athlete, like a football player or something like that, like they have a season, right? Your season is in, say, September. So I'm able to create a program that allows me to bulk up, build over the winter. Then I'm going to start to work on my speed and endurance throughout the spring months, and then strictly just power and speed through the summer. So I'm at my peak performance by September. But the regular person, the first responder, the everyday athlete, everyday general public, they want to be at that prime kind of all year round, right? And so the idea behind this that you've sparked and built up, it's just like, it's such a smart way to go about your training. And then that's where I found like so much passion in learning these methods now, is because it just applies to so much more. And like staying in your peak all year round is the best way to go about it.
And if you're going to talk from you don't do the traditional marketing really. And I think we had a conversation actually with a friend yesterday who's opened a business, and it was about,
do everything opposite of this guy.
No, actually, I think Westside Tactical, you've grown it to like 10,000 followers you hit this week, right? And
yeah, somewhere around there.
A lot of that, and the Conjugate Tactical, or the Conjugate page as well, it's just giving information. It's like educating, like you're giving out things that are in the book, that are in the paid course, right? And it's built just a real trust, and it's genuine coming from you, which I love. So you've been able to build that following so strong by simply giving to people, which is pretty incredible, without any kind of bullshit or fluff. It's just like, hey, do this, this, and this, get stronger. Your back hurts, do this, this, and this. Your bench press sucks, do this, this, and this. And like, that has just been, I think, shows that by doing the good thing and the right thing, you build business too. It's like you're doing it for the right reasons, and that usually brings abundance into your life. And I mean, that's been great, and I think that's why we're getting along so well. I really wish the borders hadn't been closed, so I could have been on those last couple of courses, since I got this fancy black shirt I'm wearing here. Talk about pressure. So a little story. I decided that I'm going to go for a 15-pound PR in my deadlift because I was feeling so hyped. And Jason throws me this shirt and says, "You better deadlift in this." And this was like a big deal, getting the Westside Tactical black shirt. It means you're part of like kind of the inner circle, I guess, in a way. And I'm like, oh fuck, now I can't. I wish I would have gone for the 2-pound PR as I stepped up on the platform. Casey saw the black shirt go on too, and he's like giving me the high fives, and I'm like, I still gotta hit this PR in front of all these people. And thankfully I was able to hit it, and you slapped me in the back on the way by. That was one of the best moments of my last year, with the summer and the spring and then everything that came in. It was probably the last time we left North America too.
Yeah.
So a big deal. The mission statement for Westside Tactical, and I don't know if this is the mission statement, but it's what stands out to me. And somebody posted it again the other day, and I went back in my book, and this is what made me fall in love with this program and want me to be involved and to do what I can to support you. And it's, our success, this is the last line of it, our success is measured in lives we improve, which in turn is measured by the amount of lives saved. Nothing more, nothing less. And I think that foundation, man, has just set such an example. Where do you want this Westside Tactical to go? Like, how is this looking? It just seems to keep getting bigger. And how many more people do you think we can spread this to?
I don't know. I'm done at the end of the day. Like, as silly as it sounds, like I have literally, other than taking care of my family and doing all the important stuff, as far as professional career, whatever you want to call this thing, I have nothing else. I have nowhere else to go. There's nothing else to do. I've got my job at Arsenal Strength that's my, cornerstone that my week revolves around. And it's a 1 in a million position that Like there's nothing else to do in the gym world as far as equipment goes and design. That's it. There's nowhere else to go. When it comes to strength, I have no interest in coming and going from the legacy of Westside Barbell. I've made it, again, there's titles attached to the name. We'll always have a pen and notebook in hand. You know, I always make the joke. It's not even really a joke because it's true, but if you have a good left hook to the body, like I'm going down. It's just if you do something long enough, it goes well, hopefully. But there's nowhere else I want to go with coaching. As far as Conjugate Tactical goes, I'm done. I have my groups that I work for personally. We're fortunate that we get to conduct the course. So for me, between that, the gym and family and everything, there's nothing else to do. There's nowhere else to go. Now it's just a matter of taking what we've accomplished and expanding it so that other people have access to, well, shield them from the bad, but have access to the good that comes from doing some of this stuff. And a lot of it is just the enhancer. Like a lot of these men and women that have done this with us they're beyond capable and successful themselves. We make the joke, especially, with Frank in our lives about steak. Like it's all good. Like everyone's doing their system or their training is the steak. But if we can come in and wrap some bacon around it, maybe it gets a little bit better. And that's it now. So we can do more courses and create opportunities for some of our more, I'm not going to say accomplished in like an egotistical way, but some of our coaches that have proven themselves to like really be able to introduce or influence and train a lot of people at a high level. If we can start creating contracting opportunities for them, which in turn will create work for their families, that's the goal now. I physically can't take on any more work for myself. So whatever we do now is with the interest of our own little tribe. It's growing, but our own little tribe. How can we make everyone, a little bit better off being a part of this? So that's the next step to figure that out. And luckily we have about 8 months of snow coming, so there'll be plenty of time to think. But that's it. I mean, for me, it's real easy for me. There's nothing left to do. I want nothing to do with transitioning from a different tribe as far as education and strength and conditioning goes. I'm right where I want to be. We're fortunate that we've been here for 7 or 8 years now. That's it. Like, I've got to keep working. Don't get me wrong, but there's nothing. I can say it honestly. There's nothing else to do.
That's amazing, though.
What's cool about this whole thing is just like kind of the selflessness behind it, and the idea of it is like what Tony talked about with sharing information and all this stuff is like your mission is to get people better at their jobs, to keep people alive, to save more lives. And that's the whole idea behind it, right? You want police, you want firemen, you want a military to be more capable at their jobs and stronger and faster and able to do their job. So that in itself, like why, when people get caught up in trying to hide their routines and hide their ideas, like, oh, we want to be a strong gym here, so let's not tell anyone about it. Where you're like, no, tell everybody about it so they can fucking live and they can save everything that like we can do, and they can do a better job for their community no matter where they are.
And how many Conjugate Tactical instructors are there at this point? 90 or so? How many Conjugate instructors do we have at this point? 90 or so Conjugate Tactical?
We're under there. We had 33 the first, 16 the second, and then 28 this one. So what is that? Math?
Yeah, we're not going to figure this out, the three of us.
National, so the metric system is off.
But man, like now think about that. If every one of those people goes and just helps 10 more people, how far is that ripple going to go, right? And that's like, I think that's what the beauty behind this and the simplicity behind it, and why I think you'll continue to succeed in this program. Will continue to make lives better and make people better, which is
hopefully it does. That's the goal. Like I said, I mean, we're not monks. Like we make our living exercising human beings and teaching strength and conditioning. So grateful to be able to do that. Like we're not turning wrenches and digging holes, but we can't do everything for free yet. So all things are good there, but the main thing I really truly believe that I hope people pick up on is that we're doing stuff to hopefully create work on top of just the education. You'd be the smartest man in the world, but if you don't have a job to put your information to use with, it's not necessarily the end result. So for us, like the goal is not to be a figurehead or even the public side. I was able to avoid the public side for years. It was glorious. of doing this stuff and piggyback, an ulterior motive off the hard work of damn near 80 people. We're not going to do that by any means. So hopefully it continues to grow and create those opportunities for everyone as a part of it, more so than just, continuing to stack up bodies for you to perch yourself upon. We can't run shop that way. And as far as the mission statement and the goal goes, you just draw from experience. Like, the saying, it's not the strongest that survives or the fittest that survives. It's the most adaptable. And if you look at what makes someone or something adaptable is readiness. And the greatest state of readiness we can be in is exactly like you had mentioned, the, good base of strength, proper conditioning, a little bit resilient to injury. And if, a dumb artilleryman can fall back asswards into the Wild West down in the southeast of Afghanistan and adapt, okay, let's take those principles and sharpen them up and really, take the learning points from them. And as far as how we try to deliver education, it's drawing from experience. When I first landed in Afghanistan, in 2005, because that's how old I am. We landed at FOB Tillman, and I became one of the primary communicators because I was the youngest one, which in Marine logic means you're young, technology. So it's like, oh crap. So now you have 16 other people plus everyone else we worked with relying on ability to use radios. And guess how much I knew about using radios outside of talking on them? Nothing. So I had to go to the talk and ask questions, and there was a team there from third group and a fellow on talk. I couldn't tell you his name to save my life, but at the time, fellow sitting behind the desk there, watching the radios, making sure everyone's okay on the OPs and stuff, and just don't lay it out there like, hey man, I don't know shit about this. I need to know a lot of shit about this. And super cool Green Beret dude. Beard out to here, which I remember having a beard like that in Afghanistan, but it turns out I had like 3 whiskers sticking off my cheek because, I was 22, but, to lay it out there. And everyone, big tough Marine in Hawaii until you get your ass beat by a bunch of Samoans, but you got to humble yourself and lay it in front of some serious pros who'd been in country 3 or 4 times over, and probably there for 5 or 6 months at that time. And say, hey man, will you teach me these radios? Because I don't know how to do it. And for better or worse, a lot of people depend on it. And the first thing, the cool guy, painted gun and ball cap, all that good stuff. The first thing he did was like, yeah, man, grab a couple of coffees. We'll run through it. So he spent 6 or 7 hours all night teaching me radios, giving me notes. And then it's like, what kind of, but when you talk about hiding programming and stuff like that, like you just can't do that. So another dude I'm lucky enough to work with, a gentleman named Chris, he was a Green Beret too. And we were talking over some drinks down in DC, and I brought that story up, and now we have an adage, and they do a great job of where they work, keeping, education and ego in check as well. But that you should always be the guy with the radio. So we carry that forward. And then if that stuff sits in your brain for a while, when I went to CrossFit level 1 in like 2007, I'd only been home for maybe 6 or 7 months. And one of the head honchos there, and I don't know this guy at all, like outside of going to a couple seminars back in the day, but Pat Sherwood, a big name in CrossFit, still is, I'm pretty sure. I don't know, maybe he was, could pick up, like, dude's probably carrying some luggage with him. And that dude was, former SEAL and just treated everybody, but including myself. And I like to think it was probably by design, but treated me with, far more respect and compassion than I absolutely deserve. So it's like, okay, another light, like who are you to not, sit up here in your soapbox or get down and do a whole bunch of work? So that dude took care of me. Then the next person, the first person I truly got to know who was legitimately kind to me was Louie Simmons. And if Louie Simmons is going to be nice to you and take you under his wing of sorts and continue to sincerely drive education and more knowledge into your head, then who the hell am I to ever do anything different? And then it just keeps going. Like the more competent people I meet, again, I'm not just trying to be a kiss butt, but you go to Arsenal Strength, and even before that, when we were working with the manufacturers, these are brilliant people in building and designing stuff, and they're going to take a risk by trusting a portion of the expansion of the company on your shoulders. Like, better deliver, and then when you're doing the seminar stuff, then you're on the other side of the table to some degree. So if folks are asking you questions, like you got to teach them the radios because, essentially what kind of prick wouldn't do their job.
Yeah,
so
and
we try to always remember that. It seems like the fitness industry is a goldfish brain. People forget real fast all that stuff. Everyone's self-made, this and like you've been here. Like I'm not sitting on a high horse by any means, driving around like Jay-Z, but whatever we've accomplished in this is the culmination of dozens and dozens of people taking time and well-being out of their life and giving it to us. And now we haven't thrown in the towel after 11 or 12 years, so we get to do it for others. And we just cannot lose focus on that. And luckily, we hang out with enough tough guys and gals, enough tough folks that if ego or any of that stuff starts to show up, they'll beat it out of you real damn fast. So we've just got a good scenario going, and we can't let it slip for silly stuff. Like, I don't know. I even know how to word it, but there's a definite divide in effort, and ours is strictly, like I said, I'm done personally. Now we're just maintaining. And if we can if we do more work to give others in our little tribe opportunities to move forward or up, then that's what we have to keep doing based off of those half a dozen experiences. That's it. That's the foundation of the whole thing.
And man, you've done that for us here at the gym with me personally. Like you taught me the radios. I was, I had a good idea on the deadlift and the bench press, and I saw that you had a better idea and you had learned this from somewhere else, and you, without any doubt, without any like ask for $1 or like made it seem like I was bugging you at all. We're always there, and I'm still always there to answer any question I have in terms of programming. And I think it's leveled the play here at the garage gym, which means that you have, from ripple effect, leveled the play on 300 something other people, right? Which is pretty incredible. And I think that's, a tribute to you and what you're doing. And I can't thank you enough for all of that, man. So like a few more things. So speaking of riding high,
on that though, we're not going to book a morning workshop the day after the fights.
Yeah. He drove all the way here.
Or rest after that one. That was in hindsight.
That might have been a poor planning on our part, but yeah.
So always available unless it's right after fight night. You can't.
So you're a pretty quirky dude, man. Like, let's get real. You talk about you're not riding in Jay-Z's car. Yeah, you were picking us up in the man van and shipping us around every time I've been down there. At least you got rid of that thing. But I mean, one of my favorite Gus moments was I bring this crew of people who's like, "Wow, Gus, he came down here and taught us all this stuff. I can't wait to go lift." And you rip your pants off and you're wearing like purple or mauve or something Lulu pants. And
I think they were your wives.
And you say to everybody in the crowd, if I can stand up here like this, you guys can all certainly get up here and lift some weights. And I remember one of the old school, I think he was a vet, basically getting up from the front row and walking to the back because he was way too close to you and what you possess down below the belt there. So I feel like a lot of people are getting the wrong view of you right now. You're talking so professional. You've got the shaved face. You can't see your tats, but this guy he's a character, and he has one thing I've learned hanging out with you is you don't have many hobbies. You like to drink White Claws, some vodka, and you like to go to Vegas. And I think you're heading there tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we're gonna go tomorrow, but it's still a little. I've got my claw with you in spirit, but it's too early here. I still have a whole afternoon of work, so I'm on a Coke Zero and a cup of water. But I mean, I'm lighthearted. There's enough bad experiences, which you can't even call them bad, but there's enough unique experiences in life that I don't know. I take work and professionalism and other people's well-being very serious, but I'm not going to put on a stern character and pretend to be something I'm not. Like we can crack jokes and get our job done, or we can sit here straight-faced and try and behave like, I don't know what the hell you want to call it, traditional like white-collar America corporate stuff. I mean, whatever gets the job done. But I've gotten my ass beat cracking jokes, and not a lot of people hit me anymore. So I'm just going to keep cracking jokes. But when it comes to, like I said, when it's time to actually work, today started at 4:15 in the morning, and we're going to keep going for a long time. Or if it's, fortunate enough to corner a buddy at the United Center fighting, and we have to be in Canada because you can't just drive across Lake Michigan. You have to drive all the way back down and up. If we need to drive 5 hours to get there to work the next morning, we'll always do what we can to get there. But being lighthearted, like I said, that's the divide. That's where I used to get in trouble in the service too, is like professionalism is just viewed as, behaving or checking these certain boxes. But when hopefully we do a pretty good job at what we're supposed to be doing in exchange for pay. So for work, hopefully we're doing our jobs well. But as far as being goofy and not taking myself serious, I mean, I got no problem throwing on a pair of lavender Lulus to break the ice. You know, one of our gals, the reason we did that is one of the gals in the gym at the time, she's probably like 37, 38. Now she's a mom of two at 40 and just, she's an absolute machine at athletics, but her nerves were through the roof going up to pull a deadlift for the first time in front of people, being a runner. She's not a power lifter or, you know, a strength sports athlete by any means. So we made her go first because that's what a good friend would do. But, you know, it's like, all right, if people are nervous and throughout the crowd too, you know, it's an awkward thing you walk into, and then say you're not walking into a venue. We just try to shove as much crap in the corner at the gym as possible to make room for people. And it becomes overwhelming very fast. So we can break the ice, slap on some lavender Lulus and make some jokes about ourselves. I will never say one thing like braggadociously about myself or arrogantly about myself. But if it's a chance to like give myself a hard time, sign me up every single time, especially when you crack some jokes about yourself at a workshop in Canada and no one in the crowd laughs at all. And then you just sit there kind of like.
So such a thing though, like being confident in yourself, like you see it, and that's what's funny. Like people listening is like, you're probably what, 6'4", 6'3", 6'4".
I'm real brusque 6'2".
Right? Comes off that way though, but like stocky guy, tattoos from the back of the neck down, right? It's just like, but you're able to joke around and be yourself. And I think that's a big thing. And two of the points you made earlier was like with the radio conversation is like, one, you're able to tuck your kind of ego aside in the way of asking a vet like, hey, I need to give a presentation on how these radios work because lives are at stake. So I need to learn how to do this. And then you see it on his side by explaining it for hours to you on that. And then also the other side is like not being worried about asking those questions or hearing those questions, and don't try to jump around the answer. If someone asks for help, they're looking up to you because you know you have information. So give them that information so they can spread it and do their job properly as well. And like when you talk about your time in the military, like a lot more than certain businesses, like your lives are at stake. So people should be willing to help each other in order to get that stuff done, right? In order to pass that information. Because what is the point if you know it and you don't want to share it with someone when it comes to life safety or even in business? Like there's no point of keeping stuff from your employee just so you sound smarter at the end of the day. Because if you give them the information, now your business is going to run better because they have an idea of how it works, and it's going to take more off your back, right?
Yeah, man. I think that's like a great dive into like the holding yourself to high standards. And I'm going to read in a new ad. We got a new sponsor today. So holding yourself to high standards is Murray Insurance and Financial Services in Kingsville. They are Southwestern Ontario's #1 ranked Desjardins insurance agency by their clients, and they're owned by Kingsville Garage Gym OGs Ian and Kara Murray. Ian and Kara's team pride themselves on many of the high standards that the Garage Gym members have come to expect. They have expertise in their industry with combined over 100 years of experience. They're the best customer service industry, including claims concierge service, which is exclusive to our clients. Another thing they do great is they focus on community, employing local team members and investing back into the Essex County community on a continual basis. They're also huge backers of charity. They are a one-stop shop for everything to protect your family and your assets with the best policies in the industry. Oh, and they also have incredible rates, especially when you combine your home, auto, and other insurances policies together with them. Give Ian a call today. You can reach him at murrayinsurance.ca. That's murrayinsurance.ca. You can find them on all social platforms. So let's close this out. So one of my favorite Gus stories is actually it was more of an Eddie story, I guess. You talked at the start about your bathroom. So Eddie Wineland, professional UFC fighter. Another thing Gus and I had in common that we talked lots about is training UFC and training MMA, with me training Randa and Gus training Eddie. So I'm nervous. I'm that girl you were talking about. The first time I showed up to your gym to lift in front of a bunch of people. First time I ever really lifted in front of anybody. And I go in and I got the runs. I'm like so nervous I had to run into the bathroom, and your toilet stall was surrounded by a shower curtain. And he recognizes that I'm terrified because I think I whispered to him like, where's the bathroom? Because he's lifting right before me. and follows me in and starts to just smack on the curtain and tell me it's my turn to lift. It's my turn to lift as I need to go to the bathroom. So that was like my break in. I was like, at least I got that out of me and was able to like, now it totally took the nerves out of me, not the dump, but the actual laughter and the levity that Eddie brought to it. And he had just met me like a minute before. So that's kind of like the vibe in your gym, is like everything is fair game in there. Everybody's open to making fun of each other, and like totally like, and it's all always in fun, no matter how mean it might get, which is pretty awesome.
Oh, it's fun. Like I said, we're never rude. Like you can't treat people poorly just for the sake of doing it. Hang on, buddy, I'm talking. 1 second. As I tell my kid to shut up, can't treat people rudely, right? But we just draw from that. Like, I mean, look at toughest dude in the gym. He's the only one of us that makes money with his athletics and fitness. And he's one of the kindest, most helpful people out there. And also not even ego on the radar, like very humble, very professional. And he's the first one to share or help anything with anybody. So when people come in, it's obvious who in there is the guy from the UFC. It's real easy to identify real quick. And he's the first one to give a spot, load a plate, take something off, do something to help somebody. And it's like, I've been beat up by him. That's another story, but I've been beat up by him. Like, he's nice to people. If I I can't beat him up, so I have to be nice to people. Like, and then just knowing like, okay, here's our buddy in town too. Like, he's obviously like, he's got to shake it off. Like, that dude can also help break the ice really, really fast and just like, hey, get your shit together. Like, you're picking it up, setting it down. Like, you're not fighting a guy on TV. Like, come on, hurry up. So, he can do that stuff and get you on track too. So as goofy as he is, he's a hell of a human being for sure.
Man, awesome. So Jay, before we close it out, man, any Westside Tactical stuff on the horizon? Any kind of Arsenal strength thing you want to get out there, or anything you want us to? If anybody's listening that wants to listen, I know a lot of your members and a lot of the Westside guys actually tune into this thing. So, what do you got?
We're possibly going to try and do hopefully the 1-day workshop. So we do the TIP workshop. It's a 4 or 5 hour kind of cliffs notes of the whole thing, so we can get out there. It's a chance for some of the folks that have been through our course, chance to get them in front of a crowd, learn how to, get some, I'm going to say learn, but get some practice speaking in front of a crowd, try and teach some of this stuff to other coaches versus their own athletes. So hopefully by fourth quarter, we might go down to Texas and do one of those at our buddy Byron's gym. I'm sorry?
In Houston?
Yeah. I'm not going near that damn state until at least November. It's hot. So hopefully do that. And then we're trying to learn some shit about technology, because I'm probably the most analog dude in the industry now. But possibly stream this one day for all of our international friends that, we still can't get together and do the in-person workshop. So try and pair the two together and create some opportunities there. Other than that, we'll find something in early 2014 to get the coaches course back on the calendar, because I'd still like to try and just do that once a year to kind of do some, limitation of how and where this stuff goes. It helps us control it a little bit better and ensure that people that do come through get a fair chance at the marketplace to, coach and train their way versus just 200 people a weekend. I'm not saying we have the demand for 200 a weekend by any means, but look at getting that on the calendar for early 2014. And then that's where, my day-to-day, I'm constantly at work. We're working on a big project through a mutual friend of ours, or for a mutual friend of ours, but I'll let him and his team tell you about that when the time is right. And then we just keep working. So there's more of the same, but hopefully the end result just becomes a little bit better every time we put pen to paper or do something. So other than that, man, there's just not a lot different. It seems like there's a lot more of the same every time we talk, but it just keeps expanding. There's no more vertical. Now it's just more expansion out this way.
Good, man. But that's exciting. And you know what I say to my team all the time, every time, or any person, like anytime you get sent on a course, in the cop world especially, I think you remember this, is you get sent on these courses that you dreaded going on, and they were like dry as can be. But if you can make one connection, develop one relationship in there, it's worth your time. And I think that's, you and I, we were lucky that we met, and it was not that was dry. It was just an opportunity. One up, met each other, and like we've been able to kind of like bounce things off each other. You're the one guy that's up at 4 a.m. every day when I need to to ask questions, which is kind of real convenient when it comes from a programming standpoint. And speaking of analog, I think you held up an H2 pencil there. I don't think Casey's ever seen one of those before.
Wait, dude, this is my rose gold.
Oh, you had a rose. I thought it was a pencil with some yellow paper. Like they don't. That's old school.
Still use pencils.
Anyway, so anything else, and we're gonna close that up. I think
that's everything. All your info is going to be added to the link in the notes. So your gym's Instagram, your Instagram, Westside Tactical, and then where people can contact you. All that info will be provided. And other than that, one, it's great to see you, even though it's through a screen. But it's very nice to see you and catch up. And
we'll get back together soon, man. They can't keep us apart forever.
Yeah, I can't wait till that border to open up. And yeah, like Casey said, man, Jason's got too many different Instagrams with too many different businesses for us to list them all. They'll all be in the show notes for you guys to grab, but definitely follow him. His personal account, Applied Strength and Conditioning, right? And that
the Instagram is Applied SC. It's on Facebook, but we've been locked out of that for like probably 6 years now, 5 years, something like that. So don't use the Facebook.
He put his picture in his maroon tights on Instagram.
The website for the gym is terrible, but there's a contact page there if you want to message us. We're not taking new members really right now, so really don't use it. And then the Conjugate Tactical website is a placeholder. It's a communication screen for all the work we did privately. And then now it's been public for like 2 years and we still haven't updated it. So the best thing is just the at Westside Tactical or at Applied SC. That we're not, I know you have to be on all the social platforms and all that. We're not. We just have one. It makes it easier. It gives us a chance to communicate with more people, but I'm not going down the rabbit hole of too much social media. So
for any strength coach listening, man, Jason, he hooks me up when I need equipment. Make sure you reach out to him too. We can definitely get it across the border. We've worked on the legal methods of getting things across the border. We've tested the other waters as well, but if you need equipment, Jason, even in the height of the pandemic, was able to get me some barbells from the best barbell company in the world. He has all the connections. Let us know. Texas Barbells, Arsenal Strength, even the Westside stuff, which is, kind of moving into Arsenal. So just let us know or hit me up and I'll put you in contact with Jason or reach out to him directly and he will set you up and get you a quote and get you some stuff shipped real quick. And the highest quality stuff that you could ever imagine. It's made our little strength room here amazing.
I don't know how much your sponsors pay you per episode, but you can go ahead and invoice me. You don't got to do that stuff.
All right. I get send something. Yeah. Awesome. I just want a hat. Okay, man. Good to catch up to you and talk to you soon, man. Stay safe. Enjoy your trip.
Hopefully we didn't go too far off the rails. I've had a lot of caffeine today, so.
That was great.
That was awesome, man. Cheers.
Cheers.
Awesome. See you guys.
See you, brother.
You don't have to log off. We're just going to stop the recording.
Don't tell me how to live my life. I'll log off whenever I want.
Okay, log off then.